Dr. Allen was a man of science. He believed in medicine, facts, and logic. But one night, everything changed. A strange patient arrived at his clinic, pale, silent, and cold as ice. The man's dark eyes held something terrifying, something unnatural. As Dr. Allen examined him, the lights flickered. A shadow moved across the room, though no one else was there. The air turned heavy, pressing against his chest. Then the patient spoke in a voice that wasn't human. "You shouldn't have called me, doctor. Allen never called anyone. So who, or what, had answered?" Dr. Allen steadied his breath. The man sat motionless, his dark eyes locked onto Allen's. "What is your name?" Allen asked. The man tilted his head. "You called me. I came." Allen frowned. "I never called anyone." The air grew thick. A faint whisper echoed in the room, though no one else was there. The man leaned forward. "Once you see the truth, you cannot escape." Allen's hands felt cold. His instincts screamed at him to leave, but his legs refused to move. The patient slowly smiled. His teeth were too sharp, too perfect. Allen's heartbeat pounded in his ears. "What do you mean?" The man didn't blink. "You will understand soon." A sudden knock on the clinic door made Allen jump. He turned for just a second. When he looked back, the patient was gone. Dr. Allen's chest tightened. The chair where the patient had been sitting was empty, but the air still felt heavy, as if someone, something, was watching. He rushed to the clinic door and pulled it open. The hallway was silent, empty. "Impossible," he whispered. A cold shiver ran down his spine. He turned back, and his breath caught. The patient was sitting in the chair again, smiling. Allen's hands trembled as he grabbed his stethoscope. He had to stay calm. This was just another case. "I need to check your heartbeat," Allen said. The man said nothing. Allen placed the stethoscope on the man's chest. No sound. No pulse. Nothing. He moved the stethoscope again. Still nothing. Yet, the man was breathing. Allen yanked the stethoscope away. His voice shook. This isn't possible." The man's smile widened. His lips moved, but the voice came from behind Allen. "I was once like you. Human." Allen spun around. Nothing was there. When he turned back, the patient was standing right in front of him. Too close. Allen stumbled backward, his heartbeat racing. The lights flickered again. The walls seemed to close in. "What are you?" Allen whispered. The patient grinned, his eyes darker than before. "You already know." Allen's breathing grew unsteady. His mind fought for logic, but nothing made sense. The patient stood there, silent, smiling, as if enjoying his fear. Allen needed answers. He rushed to his desk, typing the man's features into the hospital database. His fingers trembled as he searched. One result appeared. A chill ran down his spine. The file was 10 years old. Status: deceased. Allen's eyes widened. He read further. The patient had died in this very clinic. A flash of memory struck him. Years ago, a man had been brought in late at night, bleeding, gasping for help. Allen had tried, but he failed. The room darkened. The screen flickered. A voice whispered, "You left me to die, doctor." Allen turned back. The patient's eyes were now black voids. His skin cracked like dry earth, revealing something dark underneath. "This is not real," Allen muttered. The man stepped forward. "You forgot me, but I did not forget you." Allen's body stiffened. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. The clinic walls groaned. Shadows stretched unnaturally. Allen tried to move, but his limbs felt heavy. A cold hand touched his shoulder. "Now, it's your turn." The air in the room vanished. Alan gasped for breath, his lungs burning. Darkness crept over his vision. Then, everything went silent. Alan's vision blurred. His chest tightened, as if unseen hands were crushing him. The air was thick, suffocating. The patient, no, the thing, stood before him, watching. Alan forced a whisper. "What do you want?" The voice echoed, layered with something inhuman. "A trade." Alan clutched his throat. "Trade." The shadows around him twisted. A second voice, his own, whispered back, "Your life. For mine." His mind screamed for logic, but logic had left this room. He had only seconds to act. He staggered toward the desk, reaching for his phone. If he could just... The lights flickered. The phone screen cracked on its own. Alan froze. The demon laughed softly. There is no escape. His heart pounded. Was this death? A thought struck him. The oath. The duty of a doctor. Alan straightened. His voice shook, but he forced the words out. "I couldn't save you, but I can't let you take another life." The demon's smile faded. The room trembled. Shadows clawed at Alan's body. Pain burned through his chest, but he didn't stop. "You needed help, and I failed. I'm sorry." For the first time, the demon hesitated. Its eyes flickered. Anger, then something else. Regret. The walls cracked. The darkness shuddered. Then silence. Alan collapsed, gasping. The clinic was still. The air was normal again. The chair was empty. The patient was gone. Alan's hands trembled. Had he won? Or was this just the beginning? Dr. Allen sat in silence, his heartbeat finally slowing. The clinic felt normal again, but something had changed. Had he truly banished the demon? Or had it simply stepped back, waiting? He glanced at the broken phone, the cracked walls, the empty chair. A chill ran down his spine. This was no ordinary nightmare. This was real. The dead had spoken to him. And now he knew the truth. Some mistakes never fade. Some souls never rest. And some doors, once opened, can never be closed. Alan wasn't sure if he had escaped, or if the haunting had just begun.